She never expected her life to change in a single evening. The city lights glimmered through the rain-streaked windows as Emma Hayes adjusted her scarf and glanced nervously at her reflection in the cafe's glass door. A blind date. At 32, the idea of meeting a stranger, someone her friends had painstakingly vetted, felt absurd, almost laughable. "It's just a coffee," she muttered under her breath, trying to calm the fluttering in her chest. Little did she know, tonight wasn't just any date. Tonight would redefine her understanding of courage, trust, and love. Emma had built her life carefully, meticulously, like a fortress. As the CEO of a successful marketing firm, she commanded respect, deadlines, and boardroom victories. Yet, in matters of the heart, she felt perpetually unarmed. Relationships had been fleeting, friends were growing tired of her cynicism, and she often laughed at the absurdity of blind dates. "If only he knew who I really was," she thought bitterly. But deep down, a small, cautious part of her hoped for something extraordinary. Across the city, Daniel Carter was also preparing. A single dad of a vivacious 7-year-old boy, Liam, he had mastered the delicate balancing act of work, fatherhood, and occasional social life. Tonight was a rare moment to step away from homework battles and bedtime stories, to attempt something resembling a normal life. He had agreed to a blind date without fully expecting it to matter. Daniel's life was shaped by responsibility, yet underneath the rugged exterior and tired eyes, there was warmth, patience, and a quiet bravery that few ever saw. When Emma arrived at the café, she noticed him immediately. Daniel, slightly awkward in a tailored jacket, gave a small, polite smile that seemed to radiate a calm reassurance. But Emma's first reaction was skepticism. He must think this is a joke, she thought. After all, blind dates weren't her scene. He might be kind, polite, everything in the world, but she couldn't shake the feeling of disbelief, the almost instinctive suspicion that this evening was destined for disappointment. Their conversation began stiffly, polite smiles, awkward laughter, and tentative questions. But as the minutes stretched into an hour, Emma found herself laughing genuinely at stories about Daniel's mischievous son and his attempts to survive school drop-offs, soccer practice, and PTA chaos. Daniel, in turn, was drawn to Emma's sharp wit, the subtle vulnerability behind her confident exterior. They were strangers, yet somehow, they fit like pieces of a puzzle that had been waiting a lifetime to be completed. Just as Emma began to relax, the unexpected struck. A sudden commotion outside, the screech of tires, a shout, and then a man emerging from the shadows with a menacing look. The cafe's quiet buzz transformed into chaos. Emma's instincts screamed danger. The man moved toward her, his intentions unmistakable. Panic clawed at her chest, her mind racing, paralyzed between flight and freeze. Without hesitation, Daniel acted. His hand shot out, guiding her behind the counter, shielding her with his own body. "Stay behind me," he urged, his voice low but commanding. Adrenaline surged, and in that instant, Emma saw a side of Daniel she hadn't expected, the quiet, steadfast courage, the protective instinct born not of ego, but of care and responsibility. The man lunged, but Daniel's quick reflexes, honed from years of managing chaos at home and in life, allowed him to intercept just in time. Shouts from cafe patrons, a security guard rushing in, and the intruder fleeing into the rainy night followed. Emma's heart pounded, her hands trembling as reality sank in. She was safe. Alive. And she realized, in a moment of raw clarity, that she had been wrong to doubt him. Sitting back down, drenched in rain and adrenaline, Emma stared at Daniel. Words failed her, but her eyes spoke volumes. I didn't expect this," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Daniel smiled, a mixture of humility and tenderness. "Neither did I," he said. But both of them understood that something profound had shifted. This was no ordinary evening, no simple blind date. Something deeper, more authentic, had begun. Over the following weeks, Emma and Daniel's lives intertwined in ways neither had imagined. She met Liam, whose boundless energy and innocent trust softened Emma's walls. She learned about Daniel's struggles, the sacrifices he made daily, and in turn, Daniel saw Emma's vulnerabilities, the pressures of leading a company, and the loneliness hidden beneath her accomplishments. Challenges arose, of course, misunderstandings, work obligations, fears of repeating past mistakes, but every obstacle became an opportunity to grow, to trust, and to love. The turning point came during a quiet evening at Daniel's apartment. Liam was asleep, the city hummed in the distance, and Emma sat across from Daniel, holding his hand like a lifeline. "I was so afraid of trusting again," she confessed. "Afraid of being hurt, of letting someone in." Daniel squeezed her hand gently. "We're all afraid, Emma. But bravery isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to face it anyway. Together." That moment sealed their bond, an unspoken promise that whatever storms came, they would face them side by side. Months later, Emma reflected on that night, the night she had laughed nervously at the absurdity of a blind date, the night a stranger saved her life, the night she realized love and courage were not the stuff of fairy tales but lived in real people. In real moments. She had discovered not only a partner in Daniel but a family, a life richer than she had ever dared imagine. By the end of their journey, Emma understood that vulnerability was not weakness, and bravery was not always grandiose. Sometimes, it was simply showing up, trusting, and embracing the unknown. And in Daniel, she found both strength and love, proving that the most unexpected encounters often lead to the most profound transformations. For anyone watching, Emma's story is a reminder: life's most extraordinary moments often arrive disguised as ordinary ones. A blind date, a small act of courage, an unexpected connection, they can change everything. Never underestimate the power of trust, of opening your heart, and of embracing the unknown. If Emma and Daniel's story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. There are countless untold stories waiting to remind us that bravery, love, and hope often come when we least expect it. Weeks passed, and the bond between Emma and Daniel deepened in ways neither of them could have anticipated. Emma, who had always prided herself on control and precision, found herself embracing spontaneity, something she hadn't allowed in years. With Daniel and Liam, every day was unpredictable: impromptu soccer games in the park, quiet late-night walks where the city lights reflected off wet pavements, and laughter that came so freely it made her forget the constant pressure of board meetings. But life, as it often does, tested them again. One afternoon, Daniel received a call from Liam's school. Liam had been involved in a minor accident during playtime, nothing serious, but it left Daniel panicked and torn between work obligations and his responsibilities as a father. Emma, sensing his anxiety, immediately offered support. She skipped an important client meeting to accompany him, proving through her actions that trust and care were more powerful than any corporate obligation. Watching Daniel interact with Liam, so patient, so gentle, yet firm when needed, Emma's admiration for him grew. She realized that true strength wasn't just in the physical or professional world, it was in the quiet resilience, the ability to remain calm under pressure, and the willingness to put others' needs before one's own. Daniel, in turn, noticed Emma's compassion and quick thinking. She wasn't just the accomplished CEO he had assumed, she was brave, selfless, and grounded in a way few people were. One evening, as Emma and Daniel walked along the riverside after a long day, the city lights shimmering on the water, they paused near a small café that Liam loved. Daniel glanced at her, a gentle smile tugging at his lips. "You know," he said softly, "I never thought a blind date could turn into us." Emma laughed quietly, shaking her head. "Neither did I. I thought you were a joke at first." Daniel laughed too, his voice warm. "Funny how life surprises us. That night, when I protected you, I realized I wanted more than just a date. I wanted to be there for you, for whatever comes next." Emma's heart swelled. She had feared vulnerability, feared letting someone in, yet in his eyes, she saw trust, safety, and something she hadn't expected: home. But challenges still lay ahead. Balancing Emma's high-profile career with Daniel's responsibilities as a single dad wasn't always easy. There were late nights, missed calls, and moments when both felt stretched too thin. Yet, every obstacle strengthened their connection. They learned the importance of communication, compromise, and patience. They celebrated small victories: a completed school project, a successful presentation, a quiet Sunday morning together, understanding that love thrived in both grand gestures and everyday moments. One rainy afternoon, Daniel surprised Emma at her office. He had remembered her mentioning a stressful board meeting. Standing outside with an umbrella and Liam in tow, he waved, and her heart lifted instantly. Liam ran inside first, handing Emma a handmade card that read, "Best Mom Ever." Emma laughed through happy tears. "I'm not your mom," she said jokingly, but Daniel simply smiled. "Not yet. But maybe one day." In that moment, Emma realized that love was not about perfection, it was about showing up, again and again, through fear, uncertainty, and chaos. Daniel had shown her that courage didn't always roar, sometimes, it was the quiet hand.